All right, so let's go. Welcome back, everyone. Happy to see you all. I hope we will have a few more people joining in just a couple of minutes. I'm very happy to announce our second keynote speaker, which is Dr. Linda Hayden. She's a professor emeritus in the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science and the director of the Center of Excellence in Remote Sensing Education and Research at Elizabeth City State University in the US. She is also involved in multiple outreach projects towards minority serving institutions. Part of that effort is the Science Gateways Community Institute, which started the Hackathon series that we sort of got involved in together, because like our history sort of like our paths crossed, I think like 4 or 5 years ago, where we met at a conference and we thought, hey, let's just organize a hackathon together. I had just started doing research on that. Linda had all the experience in the outreach department, and we just decided to sort of run with it. And I think it has been great so far. At least it has been great on my part. I'm very happy that you took the time to talk to us today about our diversity HackHPC model. The floor is yours, Linda.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alex. Hello, everyone. I've been enjoying this meeting so far, especially the first keynote speaker, Elizabeth Gerber. It's interesting that she noted that artificial intelligence, AI, offers a lot of opportunities for hackathon organizers with respect to maybe even recruitment, but then acknowledge the fact that it may not be such a so helpful when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. That requires still meeting people where they are and hands-on community engagement. And so let's build on that concept with a look at our HackHPC diversity model. And the first of our efforts with this HackHPC diversity model was at PERC in 2018. And so I've shown you some pictures from that hackathon. That's where we were. It was kind of a rough start, I have to say. Our first proposal to PERC was declined, but yet they saw some merit in it, and they agreed to at least let us use a room the last day of the conference and the last night of the conference. And so we forced everything into those 2 days or so that we had, and just decided to take those crumbs and move forward with it. And we're able to influence a number of students doing that attempt. Also, that's where I first met Jim, and I just want to thank him for his support during the first hackathon, and Alex for his ongoing support in terms of research. So we're going to proceed by looking at the data. We'll look at the data, and then our diversity, equity, inclusion imperative that pushes this effort. And then we'll look at the diversity model itself, the committee that steers this thing, our sponsors, our objective, some of the elements of our model, a little bit about the history and our participants, and then our plans for moving forward, our next step effort as such. Some recommendations that you might want to consider as you organize as you try to digest these and move them into your space. Okay, the data. So there are just mountains of data out there that talk to us about the underrepresented groups in STEM workforce. In the US, it's primarily the Black and Hispanic population. And then there's data on, of course, women who are worldwide underrepresented, although in other countries, there may be underrepresented groups that are dictated by economics or religion, but worldwide women certainly are underrepresented. And look at the bottom, it's especially dire in computer and engineering fields. And then of course, just in general, across all STEM fields, we have that underrepresentation. So I can show you, more and more of these types of charts and graphs, but we know it's bad. It's just bad. It's really, really bad. And so we've observed that at our events and are here to try to figure out a way to improve that situation. So again, computing is one of the least diverse fields. We just saw that in some of the data. But it's important that we try to leverage this largely untapped talent pool to address our needs for data scientists. And at the National Science Foundation, they call it the missing millions. I work a lot with them right now. I'm heading their Office of Polar Programs subcommittee on diversity and equity. We get a report that we got to put out next year. And that's what we call it, just the missing millions of talents. Great talents are rare, but they're in all groups. And so we need to pull them into our community and mentor them, support their development. And that's our imperative. So the people working with me, because this is not a one-woman show, this is a team effort. Spoke to Alex, the researcher on our team, and his contribution has been, very generous with his help with publications and evaluations. And then Amy, who is really the heart of our group. Amy deals with the funding agencies and finding us the money to do what we do, which it's not a very expensive endeavor, but we need some funds, and Amy makes sure that happens. Jamie, who is the leader of our effort at this point, he's just taken the reins and moved us forward in in his own way, his own aggressive and excited way, and keeps things moving forward. And then there's Boyd, who provides cloud expertise, and Josh, who provides technical support. Omnibon in general has been with us from the beginning and continues to help us move this effort forward. And then there are sponsors, many names you recognize, of course, but they are giving us the money that we need. They provide mentors as well, the technical support, and also provide challenge problems that we use with our teams. Sloan Foundation was one of our initial supporters at PERC conference through Jim's efforts, and we do thank him for that. It kept us well fed. Okay, so the objective of our event is to kind of harness these resources and skills and knowledge within our community, our HPC community, and give exposure to that to the graduate students and the underrepresented and the undergraduate students that join us as participants and show up on the teams. So in general, we try to provide these HPC skills and training while targeting underrepresented populations. So from the very beginning, we were designed to target underrepresented populations and to bring them some familiarity with data science in the cloud and with software engineering concepts, and to develop their communication skills, presentation skills, and so forth. And that's a look at one of our, I think that's the hackathon at SC, maybe the second hackathon. And I think, Alex, you took that picture, that panoramic view of the group at our second hackathon. The model Involves people, procedures, tools, and lots of fun. So with respect to people, we do have our organizers. You've had a look at them. The judges who come in at the end, and then our community mentors that serve both mentors for the teams. And each team usually has two mentors. One is a technical mentor, and the community gives us those technical mentors. We have our hackers, the students, the undergrads, graduate students, and we have our sponsors. So that's our people group. Procedures, we've had to come up with procedures for mentoring, methods to find our participants, and training sessions have been really critical. We found that in working with this particular population that we need to give intense training to our mentors and our judges as well as our participants. And so we have a very planned and intensive training before the hackathon event actually takes place for our mentors and our judges and for our participants to make sure they have the basic skills they need and confidence they need when they start the hack. And we have final presentations as a part of our procedures. Judges awards, viewers choice awards are always given. And sometimes we have a third award, especially for the SC hackathon, where we try to talk about the impact of their work on the particular city that's hosting SC. So we have 2 or 3 awards for each hackathon. Lots of tools are used. Discord was used this time as opposed to Slack, but we always use our Zoom and there's GitHub and Jupyter Notebook, and you'll see some of the others later on. Fun is a big part of what we emphasize, and so you see the Legos, the adult Lego kits that everybody loves. In fact, I've got my, oops. I don't know if you can see it. Can't see. Oh, there it is. One of my Lego gifts that stays with me every day. I enjoy that. So fun. You go through a lot of Legos as a part of this. Let me just say. So here's our history. We started in 2018 with a hackathon at PERC in Pittsburgh. There were 3 teams and 11 participants. And then we moved on to SC 18, that was in Dallas. We had 11 participants and 4 teams. Then we repeated the cycle at PERC the following year, and it's supercomputing in 2019, 2020, and 2021. We just finished our 3rd cycle. And so to date, we have held 8 hackathons based on this model. We are working now to organize a hackathon in the spring. So we're taking on a 3rd effort, take it on a brand new place for our hackathons using the ADME conference. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. All right, so as we proceeded, we had to make changes, reacting to what we saw through our evaluation process, what we observed in terms of our teams being productive. And so what started out as a 48-hour marathon has ended now in 90-some hours of competition. We have been able to merge with the PERC student program, which also targets underrepresented minorities. And so one part of this model is to work with organizations where there is a similar mindset and a similar commitment to mentoring underrepresented students. We went fully virtual at PERC 20. We moved to a e-payment for prizes as opposed to so many gifts and smaller gifts. We started pre-event participant training along the way. We then also the judges training and post-event panels. We started team intro videos to build. It's a fun activity, but it also helps to build the team's cohesiveness and give them an identity, which we found was really important. The identity when working with this particular target population. We had to schedule some downtime and started using Slack more and picked up some industry sponsorship for our events. So there have been, these changes along the way to improve our model, including introducing the family concept, so that during the hackathon, it's not unusual to find teams helping one another. If they've mastered a certain concept and moving the data to the dashboard, and another team is struggling with that, then we find them helping each other, and we'll even schedule a time when they can make a presentation on that particular technique. So the family concept has helped us. It doesn't remove the competitive spirit within these students, within these teams, but it helps everybody be a little better. Okay. We also started having guest speakers for and lightning talks during our competitions. Okay. Charles, no. I just got a visit from my grandson. Okay. So here's a closer look at, say, PERC 21 Hackathon, which extended over 98 hours. We started on a Thursday with a welcoming session sort of, and then we had 2 check-ins each day, that Friday, that Saturday, that Sunday, although the first one on Sunday was abbreviated. And then on Monday was our final session, final 2 sessions, with the final one being the team presentations. We had 7 time zones involved. We had people from Korea, I believe. We had 15 mentors, and there were 21 participants in that. We always ask them to deliver their source code. It's well commented, a PDF of their presentation, GitHub links that has an extensive README file in it, and the resources that we use are listed there as well. So who are our participants? Here's a look at it, and for the most part, you see that we have a number of MSIs, that's minority serving institutions, that the students attended. About 3/4 of them were from minority serving institutions. Their major subjects were computer science and mathematics and engineering, but a sprinkle of other disciplines as well. Primarily, we had upper level undergraduates, juniors and seniors, master's and PhD level students, a few freshmen, and a few sophomores, but mostly upper level undergraduates and graduate students. And there were 42% females in that group. Now, notice above that if we look at, these were questions we asked them about their experience with the different packages and different tools. Very few of them said they had expertise in with these tools. They were novice level and before and lower in terms of their experience with these tools. But when we finished, And this is a look at the PERC group. Again, they said they love the community that we were able to build within them, and how we were able to teach them and connect them to resources. Love Jamie's enthusiasm, all the contests and the prizes that were held along the way. With each check-in, we usually had some little mini competition going on with them. So they were group communication, satisfied with the team progress, and satisfied with the outcomes. And where are they now? Jerome Mitchell, I told you he was on a slide earlier, who was a student there, is now a deep learning engineer with Intel. And here are some of the others who now have graduated and moved on to become technical analysts, software engineers, consultants, technology consultants, and quality assurance engineers. And these are some of the different logos we've used over the years. We've also progressed in terms of our identity and our branding. I could have gone on and on with that list, but I just, picked a few and shared them with you. We also have an alumni website so that we can keep track of these students and keep them abreast of opportunities as they come known to us. And these are some of the mentors from PERC 21. We do know that 2 of them are past hackathon participants. Cesar and Jocelyn are shown here, past hackathon participants. We have representatives from Exceed with John there. We have HBCU faculty members, computer science faculty members. We have TAC members. We also have people from Omnibon who served as mentors. So we had a really good group of mentors, and they were well trained and did an excellent job of motivating these students. And I'll show you some of the training that we put through, because we felt it was really important that the trainers who were, on the ground with these teams, that they had a good understanding of what we were about, what we were looking for, and how to motivate the students. So this is the agenda from our HackHPC in St. Louis, HPC in the city, St. Louis Hackathon. The agenda from that mentor training, where we talked about our objectives, our student outcomes. We described the students to them, looked at the sample project timeline, made sure they understood the deliverables that we expected and the resources that were available to them. We actually had a little mentors hack. I'll show you that in just a minute. So here's the information that we provided those mentors about the timelines on the projects and the metrics for selecting a winner based on the impact, creativity, usefulness, creativity execution, the polish, the technical complexity, collaborations, presentations, and completeness. Those were the metrics we used for judging the project, and we wanted the mentors to know upfront that these would be the metrics we'd be using, and also the final presentation and deliverables. We let them know that they could expect some issues to arise, like imbalance in participation, like they're keeping the direction of the project viable, they're keeping it on track, but not really being oppressive in terms of how they handle the students, the direction that the students took the project. We let them know that there would be some morale decreasing over time, and that the students just might not communicate with them as well. So how do they deal with those issues when they see them? Be on the alert that these things happen almost every time, almost with every team. And so to do that, we gave them a challenge to solve, which addressed these issues that we just went over. And so we had a little mentor hack. It was 7 minutes during their training, and we had them to choose one, and this was Jamie's idea. He's the brain of this. We had to choose one of these issues and come up with a solution right away and put together a slide that they brought back to the group and presented their solution. They were befuddled at first how to get this all together, but we came up with some really good solutions, and they kind of got the feel of the hackathon, as well as come up with some solutions for things, challenges that we know they as mentors would face. And so, so that little mentor hack was a part of their training as well. Okay, so this is our next step. We are working with a group called the Association of Computer Science Departments at Minority Institutions. That's ADMI. They host a symposium every year, and it brings about 100 students to the symposium. And we are trying to build a hackathon just for ADMI students, where the teams are pre-formed when we get there. There are a number of institutions that are represented. Upper left-hand corner, Andrea Lawrence at Spelman, then Johnny and Houston and I from Elizabeth City, Rebecca Caldwell and Elva Jones from Winston-Salem State, Chitamu and Jean from Hampton. Then we got Morehouse University in here, Jackson State University, as well as Norfolk State. A couple of Norfolk State people are around. Mississippi Valley State individuals are around as well. So a number of minority serving institutions are involved in this effort to build this hackathon. And they have a voice in how we structure their event. So they joined us at our meetings and help us to understand how to best tailor it to their particular population of students. The symposium itself will be held March 24th through the 26th. And we have agreed to hold some of the hackathon training that we have for the students and the mentors during their event. But we will actually conduct the event the week following the conference. And that seems to be the pattern that we are either a week before and this time a week after the actual event itself, or PERC, or supercomputing, or ADMI. The theme is going to be high performance computing and gateways, and typically they have about 100 students involved. So we're looking forward to that event and learning more and mentoring another group of future HPC professionals. So here's some of the things that we have learned, just kind of summing up now. We need to collect baseline data. If you're not doing it, then you need to start doing that. On your application forms, you can ask them stuff up front that you can't ask at the end. And not all of them will want to share the demographic data. We recognize that. But for those who are willing to share, we want to know. So start to collect your baseline data. As you set your diversity goals, make sure that someone or some group is going to make sure that those that you're moving towards the goal, your diversity goals that you set for the identified target groups. You want to identify an outreach strategy. Where are the people that you're trying to reach? And that's where you want to cast your net. You want to cast your net by joining the organization. If it's an organization that you found that has a similar mission, don't just go there and try to set up a table and recruit. You got to join the organization. You got to get involved. You got to give them a voice in the structure of the event or and how you reach your goal. How you're going to reach your goal. You want to continue corresponding with the group that you're targeting. Make sure they know about your opportunities and make sure they understand that this is just not a one-off, but it is going to be, you're going to help them down the pathway to become HPC professionals. You want to be deliberate with your outcome and with your outreach. You don't want to be, lukewarm about this. Seek them out and, show interest with and encourage them and let them know that they are welcome into the community. You might want to look at your mission statement and say, do we have a strong enough statement of our real commitment to this group and act appropriately? So those are some of the recommendations that we have for you. Here are some of the references that we've used the Hackathon Planning Kit to get started and to continue our efforts. A couple of references on for the data that I shared with you. We've had a couple of publications that Alex has led the way on and Jamie here. And then there's, I think this is, the Pew Center also gave me some data that I could use with you on this. So at this point, I want to stop and answer questions as best I can and help and encourage you to share your diversity, equity, and inclusion hackathon efforts and your successes. Thanks, Jamie, for this image.
Thank you so much, Linda, for this really interesting keynote. Yeah, I would say, like, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and ask, or if you don't feel like that, you can also write your questions in the chat. I think we have a couple of minutes to at least get a discussion started. Yeah, Kiev, just go ahead.
Hello. Hi, Linda. Thanks. Thank you so much for this very nice talk. And it's like a model that we can follow it. Particularly here in Brazil, there's many underrepresented groups, a lot of social issues here, and then we can take advantage of that. We were discussing, I don't know if you're involved in any of the work groups. So we were discussing earlier about the creation of safe spaces, just kind of fuzzy, yet the definition of what a safe space is. And we discussed about several aspects, included underrepresented groups, also not being judged for failing. So, well, clearly this is focused on underrepresented group in technology. But I would like to know, in terms of the level of expertise of the participants and how they faced failure or failing while they were learning. So was this a concern of the organization, or it's something that was not considered or just came out during the event about failing and not being ready, I would say, for the level of expectation for such event?
Yeah, thank you. That's an important point, that creating those safe spaces. And we do also a training on harassment specifically, and to let them know what we expect of them, and to let them know how we will react should we observe any harassment related issues. So that is taken care of up front, and because we do want everybody to feel comfortable. in terms of their expertise, the first time the students primarily had gone through a coding institute, and I made that a part of their coding institute experience. And so we had covered things like, Unix, because they came in, many of them didn't know Python or Unix or anything. So we had covered those kinds of topics. So we learned from that, also GitHub and Jupyter Notebook, and just HPC tools in general, and then specific to science gateways, some of the platforms like Aravada and Tapas. But learning from that, we then realized without the Coding Institute itself, we still needed to provide those skills so that when they came in and we asked them to code and to put together GitHub repositories, they didn't just freak out. They knew something about it. And so the training that we have in advance of the hackathon, I think goes a long way to making them more comfortable. We also have advised the mentors to keep to observe the participants, not just their coding. And so if we find discomfort there, then we should try to find a task on the team where that particular person is comfortable in contributing. So not all of them have to do the coding. Some of them have to find the data sets. Some of them have to help clean up the data sets. Some of them have to prepare the final presentations and all the slides and so forth. So there are many opportunities in terms of roles that are assigned to team members where they can contribute. And that's really important in terms of making them comfortable. So we expect everyone to contribute to the project.
Yeah, thank you. This was really inspiring, and I made lots of notes, and I'm really glad your slides are there as well. I'm curious, I'm really interested in this kind of training aspect of it. But the hackathons that I usually run don't really have mentors, because it's usually researchers at the sort of graduate level and above. But nevertheless, I always wonder whether the teams, and especially those that propose hacks and are sort of find themselves in leadership roles within their hacking teams, could benefit for some training. Do you have any, advice or sort of ideas for how to go about it? Do you think some of your training that you've developed for mentors could be applied in those contexts, maybe with some modification?
Hi, Daniela. So yeah, thanks for the question. We have placed our training on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so you can go to HackHPC.org and click on the GitHub link, and it will take you to a page that has all of the slides, and also a link to the videos. So all of our training was recorded and made available for people like you if you want to use it.
Thank you. I will definitely check that out.
Good.
Sorry, I'm trying to double dip here in the sense that I just posted the link to that YouTube channel here in the Zoom. And I will also do the very same thing in Discord. But since we're still in the discussion session and we have Linda here, so if you have any other questions, please feel free to shoot now. If not, then I have a sort of final question maybe. And that is, I mean, I guess everyone sort of tries to create a welcoming and open atmosphere. And it's like, okay, so we are really welcoming and we are a really open event, but then the people that come are always the same ones. So like, I mean, the inclusivity doesn't start at the point where you create the event and the event runs. It starts also with all the recruiting mechanisms that you are involved in, that you do, right? So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, how you get people from such institutions as participants, but also as sponsors and as mentors.
Mm-hmm. Well, Amy takes care of the sponsor part. You know, I'm not really involved, except that, you know, I bring funds from Science Gateway Community Institute to use as they need to. This time, I think it was to purchase some the end gift. But in terms of recruitment, I'm very much. It's important to me that we reach out to these underrepresented groups. And so I make a concerted effort to make sure that the information on the hackathon goes out through those channels, that where those people are found. And so the ADME organization, which is why it's important to work with groups that are aligned with your mission as you put together your hackathon, and give them a voice. They'll tell you, well, we can provide, you know, X number of students, and we know when they're available and how to reach them. And so you need to develop that kind of channel of communication with the organizations or the groups that you're trying to target. And that's essential to getting the results that you want in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you very much.